Hi, folks. I'm Dr. Sylvia Baer, and I am here to welcome you to our course, Major American Writers. Um, hi. Here we are in the continuing series of weird, strange, crazy pants semesters. We have another one. Yay. We have all kinds of possibilities for this semester. And for us, our course is being offered as a live online option only, as you well know, because you signed up for it. There are lots of reasons for this, but we made this decision back in March when we were planning out the schedule for the English program. And this seemed like the most reasonable choice for us, especially since this is a required course if you're an English major. And we know that some people are not comfortable coming on campus. So we decided, all right, let's just do this live online thing one more time. And here we are once again. So what we have here is a class. You know about live online courses by now. Most of you are quite well schooled in this system. But let me just remind you that the live online is a seminar. We're going to be treating it as a seminar because indeed it is. We have a fairly small group of people, and it will be a seminar which will take place fully on the computer. And the course will be offered in this kind of format where it's not actually recorded. You're going to be live one day a week, and that will be on Mondays. And you have the time, so you're all set with that. And during that time, we'll pretend that we're in a classroom as you have in the past. We'll pretend we're in a classroom, and we're going to be talking about very specific issues and very specific details about the authors that we're studying. The other day of the week is a fully online part of the class. So this is actually a hybrid live online format. We meet on Mondays, but on the other day that we would typically have met, you will be doing the only online work. This has worked out just fine over the past year. It frankly is not my favorite way of doing things. My favorite way is to be on campus. But I found that the live online format and the online format has a lot of really interesting components and things that we can bring to a course that perhaps we really can't do in class. I can take you to libraries, I can take you to museums, I can take you to the homes of a lot of these writers by way of I guess the internet system, rather than the in-class system, which is a lot clunkier. We could all get on a bus and go see Emerson's house and maybe touch his books, as I did really illegally. Don't tell anybody, but I had to do it. Just between us, don't tell anybody. But of course, that's quite unwieldy at this point. We can't get on buses and go places quite that easily. But I can do it certainly through the magic of our computer systems. It makes it more possible to have a different dimension to our work, but it also constricts us a great deal, and it is very artificial in many, many ways. I want you to know that I do teach the other courses on campus, not the Major American Writers, but my other classes are taught on campus. So I'm not averse to campus work. And anytime during the semester, if you want to set up an appointment to come see me in person, I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to do that in person. I'm also happy to meet with you via Zoom as well. But we have to really experiment. Each individual has his or her own comfort level with where we are right now in our pandemic structure. And I know that that's awkward because we're all at such different points in this. But I also want to minimize that awkwardness as much as possible and work with wherever you happen to be right now in your dealing with the pandemic that we're all dealing with in one way or the other. Of course, this is fall 2021, so we are now trying to handle new stuff that's come up, this whole Delta variant, and apparently there's something called Epsilon coming down the pike. Um, I don't know, do you? When it's, we're kind of doing the best we can with what we got. What I do know is that the material that we're going to be studying is quite timeless. Even in a pandemic, it will speak to you. It speaks to me. I have taken a great deal of solace, as a matter of fact, in rereading some of the Emerson material or reading a few of the Emily Dickinson poems that somehow strike a different chord now that I find myself in this in these very difficult circumstances, that I could read some of this material from a much more objective um, view before, but now it's very personal in a way that it hadn't been before some of this, because I understand a lot more. For example, during the 19th century, there was a great deal of fear about what we now call TB, tuberculosis, and it was, nobody knew where it came from or how people got it or how you could transmit it. Suddenly somebody started coughing and everyone turned in with fear to the person who was coughing. If you had a child or a sister or a brother who suddenly had fits of coughing, panic would ensue. And I've always read this and I've always known it, and I've always empathized or sympathized with the situation, trying to understand it in different ways in regard to my own life and the lives of the people around me. But now it takes on a very different shade, right? Because if you're somewhere and someone near you starts coughing a lot, you turn, people will look at you strangely and fearfully. Does he have COVID? I better stay away. I don't know. Can I get it? I've had my vaccine, but maybe he can still transmit something. Is he going to die? Does he have to have a breathing tube? What's going to happen? It's scary in a way that makes it very real what the 19th century writers were going through. And that kind of understanding is really interesting, isn't it? It's a very interesting, different way of looking at literature. So, having talked about TB and dying and coughing, it's not lighthearted stuff, but we're going to be dealing with some of these issues, a lot of these issues, because what we're looking at in this course is kind of the history of literature that is American. And underlying that is, what does it mean to be American? And underlying that is, you know, what are our boundaries? Our geographical boundaries, how have they changed? Our boundaries of understanding, our boundaries of acceptance. How have all those things changed as we've gone through the history of the United States? And also, how, more importantly for us, for our course, how have our authors dealt with these changes? And how have they reflected some of the changes in the society around them, or how have they not changed? When you read Emerson, who's in the 1800s, and let's give him a time of like 1840, and then you read Kerouac, who is in the 1950s, you would imagine they would have very different experiences, as well they did, but they connect to each other in some very fundamental ways. we have threads that run through our entire panoply. Isn't that a great word? Our entire panoply of American literature. And our job as scholars of American literature, for indeed that's what we're becoming, is to find those threads and to kind of trace the authors along the various threads. The threads of our connection to nature, our connection to society, our connection to the concept of success, our connection to the concept of immigration, our connection to the concept of um, gender roles in our world. It's been, all of those things have been very different in my lifetime. But when I read Emerson or I read Dickinson and I read Kerouac or Zora Neale Hurston, I find a lot of similarities to my own life and to the threads that I see. So how are we going to do this? Well, obviously, as I started at the beginning, we're going to do this with live online sessions. In addition, on your homepage, you're going to see a bunch of folders. Each folder corresponds to a different author. What we will do is go through these folders. Well, we're going to start with Emerson. We're going to start with the introduction, but then Emerson, and then go to Dickinson, and then go to Twain, and then go to Zora Neale Hurston, and then go to Ernest Hemingway, and then go to Kerouac. So we're going to look at 6 authors in depth throughout the semester. And we're going to look at the orbs around them, the people who wrote during their time period, people who did art of different kinds during their time period, the kind of issues that surrounded their writing, that informed at least some of their writing. Although, for each one of these authors, the fact that they're American informs their work, and certainly none of us writes in a vacuum. But each one of these authors transcends time and place. They're all American, but they could be people from anywhere looking at life, looking at each other, trying to make sense of the world. Clearly, the world that we live in is very different from the world that Emerson lives in, but we're trying to make sense of it in the same way. We even have what we call a pandemic in the same way. How did Emerson look at the world? What can we glean from his vision of the world and of America and of people? What can we learn? What do we see? What do we reject in his vision? What do we accept? What do we see in his vision that is similar to the other authors? What do we see that's very unique to Emerson and to nobody else? That's going to be very interesting. I'm going to be sending you a couple more videos, kind of introducing you to making you feel a little bit more grounded in our course and what is required. Know, however, that the first 2 authors that we're going to study, Emerson and Dickinson, all of that material is online. You will not have to buy anything for that or rent anything. For the other 4, you will. And all of that is listed on the bookstore homepage. And you just look up my name and the course, and it's right there for you. But I'll go over that more in the next video. You'll also get a listing when you get the syllabus sent to you online that has very specific information about the books that you're going to need. In the course guide itself, you're going to have exactly what you need to read. The pages, the details, everything you need is going to be online. Everything is there. All of your assignments are online. Everything you need to do is fully laid out for you. There are no surprises. There's no last minute thing that you're going to have to find or pull out. Everything is all laid out for you. The grading structure is there, and I'll go into it much more as we get closer to our course beginning date, and certainly on our beginning date of the course we'll have things laid out more clearly. The course starts on September 13th. That's kind of late, but that's when it opens. So at the very beginning, we're going to have to scramble a little bit and get a lot of, that's why we're starting now a couple weeks ahead of time. We're going to have to scramble a little bit and sort of catch up on some of the background information. And I'll have some videos for you, and I will also have some readings for you that will help you get up to speed a little bit more quickly, because we do have these 6, that's part of the requirements of this course, is that we cover these 6 authors thoroughly, and I want to make sure we do that. I need to be upfront about a couple things before I end this particular video, video number 1. I need to let you know that this is, of course, as I said, a seminar, which means that you will be on Zoom visually during this time. Now, this is not an option. If you're not able to do that, it's just like coming into class. If you're not able to come into class, and you can't take the course, you have to come into class. So in our system, you come into class, you have to be visually there. It's a seminar. We need to talk to each other. We need to see each other. If there is some medical reason why this is not possible for you, and there might be 1 or 2, but very, very rare, then we can figure something else out. But that's a very difficult choice that you would have to make, and I would have to make, because again, it's just like a class. If you can't come to class, then you can't take the class. You can't take the course. We're doing the best we can by having this be a Zoom-oriented, only 1 day a week, and the other be online, so that it sort of meets the needs of everyone. But you must be visible. You cannot be doing other stuff while class is going on. Again, you got to give it your best shot. Otherwise, why even bother taking this course? It's something that you need to give your best attention to. And you're part of a community of scholars. And as such, again, you need to be visible. You don't always have to talk, but we need to be there. And I need to be able to send you chat messages. You need to send me some throughout the class sessions. I need to tell you that. There's also a great deal of reading. We have the 6 authors that we read, and I do try to parcel them out so that you have Emerson, and then Dickinson doesn't have as much reading, but then we have Mark Twain, and there's a lot of reading there. So I try to balance it out, but you would do well to find out what the books are and sort of get in your mind a structure of how you're going to organize your reading time to get this material done. So I want to be upfront about that. I don't want any surprises here. I want you to feel comfortable with the format. I want you to feel comfortable as much as we can. I want you to be comfortable with the material. I want you to understand kind of the rules that we have. And I want you to come into this course ready to experience it in a different way than if you were in a classroom, in a typical classroom setting, or in a typical e-learning setting, online setting where you never saw your professor at all. This is its own thing, its own hybrid, its own creation. And as such, I might add, it's a very American kind of thing that we're doing here. And I put that out there because I want you to be thinking about that as we're beginning our course and our studies. This is the beginning, the very beginning of my 50th year of teaching, 5-0. So I've been at this a really long time. And back when the dinosaurs roamed, I was there. I was teaching them. I didn't do a good job with them because they got extinct. But anyway, I've been teaching a very long time. So I'm really pretty good at adaptations. I've had to adapt a lot. I have a PhD and several master's degrees, and there's all kinds of stuff about me you're going to find out as we go along. But I want you to be comfortable knowing that I know this material really, really well. And I know the systems really, really well. And that I do adapt really, really well. So whatever befalls us this semester, we're going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. We're going to adapt. We're going to adjust. And we're going to transcend. These are all very big American themes, American literature themes. Keep that in mind. And we are going to be successful in our journey through this material. But I need you to be part of it. I can't just have you hanging out, okay? I need you to be part of it. And I know that's hard when you're doing this in your house. I know that's hard. It's hard for me too sometimes. But I really need you to focus on it, okay? Because this is a really interesting journey. It's fascinating. And you're going to learn a lot about me, but mainly I'm going to learn a lot about you. And we have a lot of creative work that's going to happen during the semester if you choose to do so. And people seem to have liked it in the past. People have really found it interesting, which I love. So, are you ready? I hope so. I'm ready. And we're going to do this. I'm going to send you a few more videotapes. They're all going to be a whole lot shorter. Don't panic, okay? They're going to be a whole lot shorter and more specific, but let's do this. Let's get ready, okay? See you soon. Bye.